Today, we mourn the passing of a beloved old friend, Common Sense, who's been with us for many years. No one knows for sure how old he was, since his birth records were lost long ago in a bureaucratic red tape. He will be remembered as having cultivated such valuable lessons as knowing when to come in out of the rain, why the early bird gets the worm, life isn't always fair, and maybe, just maybe, it's my fault. Common Sense lived a simple, sound financial policies. Don't spend more than you can earn, and reliable strategies. Adults are in charge, not children. His health began to deteriorate rapidly when well-intentioned but overbearing regulations were set in place. Reports of an 8-year-old boy charged with sexual harassment for kissing a classmate, teens suspended from school for using mouthwash after lunch, and a teacher fired for reprimanding an unruly student only worsened his condition. Common Sense lost ground when parents attacked teachers for doing the job they themselves had failed to do in disciplining their unruly children. It declined even further when schools were required to get parental consent to administer sun lotion or an aspirin to a student, but could not inform a parent when a student became pregnant and wanted to have an abortion. Common Sense lost the will to live as the churches became businesses, and criminals received better treatment than their victims. Common Sense took a beating when you couldn't defend yourself from a burglar in your own home, and that burglar could sue you for assault. Or when a woman failed to realize the steaming hot cup of coffee was hot. She spilled a little in her lap, and she was promptly awarded a huge settlement. Common Sense finally gave up the will to live when our politicians were not held accountable for their actions, such as when our government could use the IRS to target American citizens, or when the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, could just decide what emails she wanted to turn over to the investigator, or when the politicians are caught red-handed and they can just destroy evidence, go before Congress, lie under oath, and then so arrogantly look into the camera and tell the American people lie after lie. Common Sense took his last breath when President and his cabinet were involved in so many different scandals. There was the IRS, the Benghazi, the Fast and the Furious, the Rosengate, and the VA scandal, just to name a few. And yet the media, for the most part, just gave our president and his cabinet a pass, and no one was ever held accountable for their actions. Common Sense was preceded in death by his wife, discretion, his daughter, responsibility, his son, reason. He is survived by his 4 stepbrothers. I know my rights. I want it now, and I'm a victim. And finally, in concluding the service, I will never forget Common Sense's last words to me before he passed, and I quote, "Most politicians of today have become so arrogant and believe that they can do just about anything they desire without the fear of consequences. They have become so defiant towards the American people that they do whatever fits into their personal agenda, and if they're caught, all they have to do is say, 'I'm sorry,' or just dance around the question for a while until the story goes away. Many of our politicians have done this time after time, and without absolutely no consequences for their actions. They do believe they are above the law." Common Sense went on to say nothing will ever get better in America until our politicians fear the people, and the only way they're going to fear the people is if they fear losing their jobs in the upcoming election and every election from here on out. He further stated, "We the people need to send a strong message to our government, and we need to vote out all incumbents out of office. This is the only way America will have a chance of getting back to being a great nation again." Common Sense's last wish was that we watch a video he created while he was on his deathbed. Common Sense stated that the clips in this video are just a small fraction of what caused his slow and painful death. He asked that we watch the video and then we look inward and ask ourselves what we can do to keep his legacy alive. May Common Sense rest in peace.